So a lot of people have a rebellious phase in their life. Mine lasted for about 18 years. It started at teddy bear daycare when I was very disruptive during nap time and was forced to sleep out in the hallway. It went into Catholic elementary school, which I attended for 9 years, and then was the only kid in my 8th grade class not to get confirmed. And then there was that whole thing where I got sent away to boarding school and was subsequently expelled a few months later. So there have been these certain undulations in my life of goodness and not so and good, and I kind of got used to having this feeling of just sort of constant paranoia that I was going to screw up big time in some way at some point at any given moment of any given day. And I just kind of got used to this. And once I graduated, once I was expelled from boarding school, I kind of cleaned up my act and didn't really have a choice, but, you know, joined the National Honor Society and graduated in high school, and it was really good, but I still had this very rebellious streak. And I was like, I'm not going to go to college. Screw that. Well, I'm going to do what I want. So I did what I wanted and got a job at the local record store and felt very punk rock and very badass all the time with my hot pink mohawk and, you know, doing my thing. So while this is going on, it was known that I had become an all-A's student and I was a musician around town, but I had to keep this rebellious streak going somehow. So I developed this habit of kleptomania, which felt kind of cool, until it kind of got me in some trouble. Asportation, I guess, is the term for it.
What were you saying? I get a record.
So I love Christmas. I love Christmas so much, and I'm so happy the Christmas lights are still on in Boston at this point. They could stay on all year long for all I care. And at the record store I worked at, I was the sort of poster girl. I was the person who set up all the displays all around the place. And when you work in a record store or a bookstore or any place, you get all these posters coming in all the time that are really cool, and you can cut them up and hang them around the place. And so I was that person who was just always had like the duct tape in my mouth stringing things up, and I was like, I'm so cool and artsy, look at me, all the time. And I once got put in charge of the Christmas display for all the Christmas music at the record store. And the record store that I worked in was in this sort of long mall that had, like, you know, a Forever 21 in it and like a PetSmart. And it had a Sears down at the end of the hall. So my boss came to me and he said, Hilary, I want you to do the Christmas display at some point this afternoon while you're on shift. Go out and get some Christmas decorations. So I was like, okay. So I go out and I'm like, where am I going to go? I'll just go down to Sears and see what they have. And I walk into Sears and there was just this giant display of Christmas ornaments. And I was in this kind of strange kleptomanic state of mind. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just sort of grabbed some things and I left. That was a poor choice. So I go back to the record store, which is like 3 stores away from Sears. And I'm doing my display, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like stringing up the tinsel, and everyone's happy, and we're playing like Charlie Brown Christmas inside, and life is good. And I see these people come up to the window, these 3 men, and they flash a badge and tap it on the window. And I'm down on my knees, just staring at the badge, which is like eye level in my face. And my manager comes up behind me and says, Hilary, what's going on? And I said, don't worry, Peter, I'm going to take care of this. So I go outside, and they're like, would you come with us, please? And I'm like, 1 second. And I go back inside to Peter, the manager, and I said, I'm going to be right back. And I go outside again with them, and they take my arms and walk me down to Sears. And Peter is just sort of watching what's going on. I'm like... And so I'm sitting in Sears in their, like, back room, and there's, like... It's like a movie with, like, those 9 television screens, and it's all me in, like, slow motion, like... Christmas balls, tinsel, walking, like, fuck. I'm in such big trouble. My parents, So I'm sitting there, and the cops come in, and they're like, what did you do? I had to do a Christmas display. Why didn't you pay for anything? I was going to. But you didn't. No. So I go back to work about an hour and a half later, and the police have since come there and told Peter everything that's going on, and he said, Hilary, I want you to know that you still have your job if you want it. We just need to work through some things, and I'm really, really unhappy, but we can try to work through some things. And I said, it's okay, Peter. I'm going to apply to college. And now I'm at Harvard.